name is Kelsea McCrary, and I am the Director of Civic Design and Cultural Districts for the Louisiana Division of the Arts. And we're here today inside the Capitol Park Museum in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Cultural Districts program. So a cultural district has a pretty technical definition that you can access on our website, but really the heart of it, the concept of it, is an area that used to be, could be, or will be a hub of cultural activity, whether that's a downtown area or a residential area that has a very strong community identity. But technically a cultural district has to be geographically contiguous, meaning we want it to be a manageable area. Walkability is an aspect, it's not the only aspect that we look for, but a district is evidence that a community is sort of banding together to move forward and really identify that identity of their area and to look and see how they can use arts and culture as economic development tools. So historic preservation has always been at the forefront of the Cultural Districts program. Since day one, that was one of the main reasons why the legislation was ever drafted, was to be able to give communities the opportunity to access historic tax credits at the time for residential and commercial structures. Right now we're honing more in on commercial revenue producing structures, and that first qualification has to be 50 years or older, and then our amazing historic preservation team will take you through the rest. And we want them to be able to save their built environment. There's something that a friend of mine says where you can look at a Home Depot, you can look at a Lowe's, you can look at a Cracker Barrel, and you'll never know where you are in the United States. But if you ask somebody to picture their hometown courthouse or their hometown square, it immediately comes to mind. And so that's really at the heart of what that preservation core is in the Cultural Districts program, is to just give people access to those tools to be able to save that environment that's so unique and so reflective of the community where it was built. The key benefits in applying to the Cultural Districts program, of course, are access to historic tax credits and to the local sales tax exemption on original works of art. So any work of art that's sold inside of a boundary of a cultural district anywhere in the state, the artist doesn't have to apply for that, the art seller doesn't have to apply for that. It just comes with the territory of being inside of a cultural district. So those are the two concrete financial incentives associated with the program. There are many more intangible benefits, like that sense of place, elevating artists to be an equal partner at the table. We look at, inside the program, whenever we're helping consult almost through technical assistance. It's not a very fun phrase, but it is the most fun part of the job, where we're able to engage with the stakeholders, with the community, with the projects, and really sort of help them figure out what resources best fit that project, whether financial or otherwise, so that they can move forward. So really the benefits can be whatever the flexibility of the program allows for. It can be a little intimidating at first, but that's kind of the beauty of it, is that right now we have 115 districts, and they approach the program in 115 different ways. The first steps in applying to the Cultural District program are honestly to call our office. Get in touch with us, email me, let's figure out what corner of the state you're from and how you're going to leverage that designation if you become certified. And then of course it's to read some of the literature that's on the website. It can look like a lot, so I'm going to go back to step one, which is to contact us, and we can sort of help point you in the right direction about what you need to read first. Just familiarizing yourself with the language that we use around what it means to be a cultural district. Obviously the requirements of the application, which we have a great document that sort of lines those out for you in an easy format. So once you contact us, once you read through that literature, once you familiarize yourself with the steps, then the next step is just to keep us in the know as you move through the application process and you're collecting the necessary information, the photos, maybe some historical context, your vision casting for the future with whatever board that you've put together or a committee. That's really helpful, is the more that our office can understand, the more our team can understand, where the district is, what the goals are, the better equipped we can be to help you through that process. The requirements in the Cultural District application process are pretty standard. I wouldn't say it's as complicated as a lot of grant applications out there, but it's also not something that you can pick up the week before it's due and truly get it completed in a satisfactory way. We are going to ask you, for government sign-off so that we can be sure that both parish and municipal level are aware and that they're supporting this. We'll ask for letters of community support. That can be from the business community, the arts community, whatever your unique mosaic of a makeup is inside your parish. We want to know that you've reached out to those people and that they're on board with this initiative. We're going to ask for maps to understand the layout of the area that you're seeking to become a cultural district. We'll ask for photographs, both areas that are thriving and then some potential areas for improvement inside your district. Something new we recently introduced was the request for you guys to film a video. So a 1 to 2 minute video where I can actually see some faces and hear the narrative around what's awesome about that community and why you think it needs to become a cultural district. This was the first year, 2020, that we had that requirement in there. We got some really awesome pieces of content where people could just let that personality shine about what makes their community great. Some other requirements inside the application are some narratives. How are you going to communicate if you're certified? Who's going to be involved in the process? Probably the most important aspect is that you have a team, a board, a committee, subcommittee, however it works for your community. That's what we want to see, is that there's some structure and some organization so that this certification doesn't die on the vine and that it continues to be a tool in your toolbox that you use. Applications for the Cultural Districts program are typically due, they'll open up late spring and they're usually due midsummer. That gives our team some time to compile that information and reach out if anything is missing, and then they'll be reviewed, and technically certification should be issued October 1. Now those dates are subject to change. As we've seen this year, things can happen that can push your presumed dates off course. But that's really what we're looking for in 2021, is that all the information is still out there about how to apply, what's required, who to contact if you have questions. So any time of the year you can access those documents and that literature, but the application will go online and be live mid to late spring, and then will be due in midsummer. Once your community has been awarded its cultural district certification, the first thing you want to do is revisit that application. It's probably been a couple of months since you submitted it. If you didn't keep a file, keep a record for your files, we can certainly give that to you, but you're going to want to revisit those plans and make sure that you're proceeding according to what you set out for your community. Instrumental in that is having a group, having a team, having representatives from different sectors of your community. Anyone that's a stakeholder that's involved inside that geographic boundary needs to be at the table to talk about these plans, and they need to be the first call that you make once that certification is awarded to be able to move forward on those plans. That's really what makes the difference between a successful and an unsuccessful cultural district. If it just falls on the shoulders of one person, then that work's being done in a vacuum, and we all know how hard community development work is, even with an engaged team. So we really want to make sure that there is some sort of a structure around moving that cultural district forward. Once your cultural district application is awarded certification by the Lieutenant Governor's office, technically that certification never expires. There are expectations that you have to meet annually, where you give our office a report that lets us know what you've been up to, has it been successful, issues that will pose, and you also give us once a year an update on your business community. How are your art sellers looking? What are they doing in terms of actual business? That's also where that technical assistance integration with our office is very important, because we can help with some of the training around those things, and we can also provide information for you to go out into your district and help communicate to the businesses, communicate to the artists, the residents, the owners, the property owners and developers, what those incentives are associated with the program. So technically there's only 2 requirements to keep that certification: your annual report and an overview of your business list every year. We like to see much more than that, and the cultural districts that are the most successful are going far beyond those 2 written requirements. Whether that's inviting the appropriate team members to meetings based on their unique collection of resources that they may need. Maybe that's keeping us in the know about how things are going throughout the year. There's multiple ways that engagement can continue. So no, the certification never expires, but there are certain requirements that are associated, and that administrative burden is another reason why you really need a team and not just one person. A couple of my favorite projects that we've seen come out of cultural districts in the last couple of years might not always be, a specific preservation project or a specific local sales tax success, but they're just as important to the overall success of the program and to that community's sense of place. The Bernice Cultural District in Union Parish recently executed a public art project where they utilized existing infrastructure, their fire hydrants, and they just did an open call to the artists in their community. They let them take over a fire hydrant apiece with subject matter, and now there's a map for wayfinding and signage where you can navigate yourself around the community and visit all of these different fire hydrants. And they're so creative, and some are funny, and some are poignant, and some reflect community history, some are state history, some are sports focused for our teams. And it's just a really great example of an unusual project that might not exactly fit within the parameters of what we see in the program, but it's definitely something that embodies the spirit of the program itself. One last project I'll mention about recent cultural district projects that have come to light here in Baton Rouge. The Mid-City Cultural District did a great job with soliciting public feedback on a community branding initiative. They had an opportunity at one of their largest arts events in 2019, I believe, for the community that attended to contribute, to really have their voices be heard about how they want to be known within the city, maybe what they want that logo or that image to be. And so then that feedback was taken by the lead group in that neighborhood of the city, and they were able to sort of disseminate the feedback to the other group members and figure out how do they move forward from there. And so it's another example of how the cultural district can be leveraged, that certification can be leveraged inside of your town, community, neighborhood, area, to do some unique things. It allows people to come together. It's an umbrella where groups, stakeholders, business, arts, higher education, housing development, anything you can think of in your community has a place underneath that umbrella. So if you want more information about the Cultural Districts program, you're welcome to go to louisianaarts.org. You can also find us on Facebook at Louisiana Office of Cultural Development, or you can follow the Louisiana Cultural Districts program specifically on Instagram.